You're listening to ArTEEtude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
This is Detlef Schlich, and today we dive into the deep and unknown ocean of the exciting creative mind, together with actually an old comrade in crime somehow. I am so happy to have now again a visual artist instead. I say just musicians. I mean, the last 5 weeks I was flying in my digital shamanism through America, through California, North Carolina, Tennessee, and now we are actually where? I think in New York. So first of all, I say hello and welcome, Julia Haw. Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, almost. So we are in 5 hours difference. You have it's 12 or so, something like this. In your where are we now?
Okay, so actually I'm not in New York right now. I'm actually based in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is about 12 hours east of New York. I was based in New York, but as you know, through my Facebook and social media, it's been a long, strange journey because last year I was based in Southeast Asia. So,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So how am I here? I have no idea.
So you're now in Michigan.
Yeah. So Kalamazoo, Michigan, it's a small, funky town. And I went to school here. So, and my sister and my nephew and niece as well live here. So I know this town like the back of my hand. I spent probably 8 years here. So
okay.
Here I am
So you know the people very well in this little village. What's the name of the village again?
Yeah, the village, yeah. It's Kalamazoo, which is a Native American name. I'm not quite sure what that means. But yeah, Kalamazoo, Michigan. And it's a college town. There's like 3 different colleges here. So it's, it's a very young vibe. There's like breweries and restaurants and very bikeable. Honestly, I'll probably only be here until, maybe for another year. I just miss New York City,
Do you?
Oh, yeah. I'm probably going to move back to either upstate New York so I can still have access to the city or back to Brooklyn.
All right. So you used to live in Brooklyn for a long time as well. So
for about 3 years. Yeah. And then I lived in Chicago for 9 years.
All right. First of all, so I have to tell the listeners just a little bit about this encountering as well. I know Julia, or we know us actually since a couple of years via social media, and I was already following her works every then and now, and I still have on my background. Maybe gonna do together with you an exhibition over here in Ireland sometime. I don't know when, but I'm quite sure that will happen sometime as well. But I consider her as a visual artist who actually found somehow a way to live the way of art as well. So she is a painter, a very good painter, and I would say a critical painter, far from a conceptual critical painter with most of the paintings. Every painting has something special idea in the background, which I appreciate a lot. So that's actually somehow the same way. Like like I work. I mean, I work more with digital media, but if I work, I try to combine things like this as well. So it's putting my avant-garde or critical thinking into the work of art. So, and that's actually the reason why I'm so happy to have her here. I think we will in the next 3 episodes we will learn a lot about her and about her work and so yeah, that's great. And I mean, I must say, as far as I know, Julia is actually always on the run somehow. Always on the run.
I know.
So I would like to start in the first episode actually, so to go then back into time tunnel wise into your use with your upgrowing and your first encountering with art, the first inspiration and So I would say let's start where you came from. Where are you born?
Okay, so I was actually born just east of where I'm at now. So I was born in Michigan. I was born close to Flint, Michigan. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I was born in Flint, Michigan, but we lived 15 minutes east of Flint. And you may have heard of Flint from the press. Michael Moore, the water went bad, big hullabaloo, big scandal. But I grew up on a farm. I grew up along a dirt road, and my father is a farmer. Sorry, he's still alive, but he's retired now.
He's a farmer.
Yeah, he's a farmer, not full time, but yes, we grew up on a farm.
What does he farming?
Well, it wasn't really, I guess you would say it wasn't really necessarily an agricultural farm. We had cows, we grew hay, all sorts of plants and vegetables. He grew thousands of trees. We had like 20 to 30 cats at any given time. It was a very liberated childhood. I spent most of the majority of my time outside, climbing trees, running around, playing doctor to the cats. And he, had always had perpetually dirty hands. My mother, quite the opposite, was a 4th grade school teacher. And they couldn't be more opposite in a lot of ways. Like my dad's just this like tall, lumbering, lumberjack, and my mom's like a 5'4" school teacher, very like, like my dad was like drinking beers.
Very organized.
Yeah, like my dad was like drinking, like when they first met, they met in a bar and he was drinking beers, and then he crashed his car, and then like as soon as he got it. But my mom was very like, not like she was so, tidy, but she was very, like you said, like very organized and
teacher, I mean,
proper in a lot of ways. And my dad was kind of more like the scallywag rebellion, like coming from a farm, And so it was a really interesting combination, but they are still happily married, and they're in their early 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
So they both wow, great.
I know. And they just like have a deep love for each other, a deep love, a deep respect. My father's kind of a homebody. And
that's so romantic. I mean, how often do you gonna hear stories like this,
I know, right? Yeah. I feel blessed because I don't know. It's just it's a little more rare, So, my father grew up 1 mile down the road, so he grew up on a even more of a bigger farm, and my aunt and my uncle still live there. My uncle's actually he was in a really bad farm accident, so my aunt takes care of him. She's helping take care of her brother. And so my dad goes down there every day. And so he's very family oriented. My mother's very family oriented. So that's where I grew up.
I think that helps a lot to survive somehow this accelerating madness in this world, isn't it? This accelerating globality where things like this really you can see that normally just in films, isn't it? I mean,
totally. Yeah. It's like, it's still so peaceful there. Everything is as it was when I grew up. I was just there a couple days ago because I just got back from New York and passed through, say hello. And my parents are in good health. Yeah, it's I wouldn't have traded my upbringing for anything, And
No,
plus, I'm 39 now, so I'm a little
mm-hmm.
bit, going into my 40s, and I grew up with like 5 TV channels, and I didn't have like Nintendo, I
Tell
didn't I didn't
me.
I didn't have the internet. So okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I remember dial up and all that. I had an internet boyfriend, all that nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that fueled, I think in many senses, the generation that we're coming from, like that fueled my imagination because that's all we
But
had,
but look in
It
the
was
80s,
everything.
but yeah, but that's really quite interesting because in the 80s, actually, I mean, Europe they copied a lot from the American, and especially in the 80s, and as Reagan starts as Reagan starts in America and Margaret Thatcher starts in Europe with this neoliberalism, with the privatization of everything, That means in the 80s, we had in Europe actually, because you mentioned 5 channels, we had 5 channels in Europe, in Germany, and I mean, the WDR my father was working there as a dolly driver, and it was paid by taxpayers, that means they had somehow a duty to educate somehow on a way, and not to entertain with the stupid shows what you ever can think, And then, unfortunately, in the 80s, Helmut Schmidt went, and we became, I think it was already called the right Democrats. They came, and then the privatization of the television came as well, And really, and there the mess started, because we became. At the beginning, all the shows they started to produce really the cheapest shows what you can think of, So and then cheaper shows are then more stupid they are, It
Oh,
was really
absolutely.
so. It was really that was for me. It was somehow the. I mean, probably the medium makes the message, and
Oh, yeah.
so that was really the beginning of the stupidization of society.
Or I think more so in some senses it could be viewed as distractive television because, yeah, I agree with you. And I guess I never really thought about it that way, but I grew up with Bob Ross, just using Bob Ross as an
But
example. Like,
what is it?
okay, so have you ever heard of the painter Bob Ross?
Yeah, sure, Barbara. Sure, he was so famous in Germany
Yeah.
as well, which is, and
So,
then I
yeah,
put there a little
yeah,
point on the
happy little
statement.
trees. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
great,
But
great. Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was public television, right? So, right, non-privatized television, like education. I would watch Bob Ross and just be like, yo, this is
Hmm.
it. Like, this is
How old have you been
everything.
there?
You what?
When, when did you start with watching Bob Ross? How old have you been there?
Oh, geez. Maybe like 7 or 8, like 6, 7, something like that.
And that was did probably you because you used to be interested in him. Probably you start already drawing and painting as well in earlier
Oh
life,
yeah.
didn't you?
Oh yeah. I had an art studio in my parents' basement growing up. So my sister and I had a little bench and we had the tabletop and we had all of our art supplies and we would sit side by side and just draw for hours. So
Honestly.
I was deeply fascinated that there would be a painter on television because this would never exist now, right? No one even really has the attention
Mm.
span, right? But
Mm.
he's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, very interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, but he's
yeah,
become
yeah.
this legendary icon. That was all we had. So that's what I mean by like I don't know if necessarily I would go so far as to say the stupidization, but I think it's more so distractive like TV just more so as distraction rather than education. So maybe that leads more into the dumbing down, or you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I think that TV is just more just like even yesterday I'm at my sister's and I'm just like deeply distracted by YouTube. You know, I'm like, I gotta get work done. Oh my God. Like I can't.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel you on that. But Bob Ross, really, he was such a teacher for me, you know, because my
Yeah, no, it's
dad,
great.
oh, I'm sorry, even though my dad, he's very artistic, he actually threw his drawings away. You know, being a farmer is very utilitarian. You know, he didn't really care about that. His art is in the trees, you know, and
Mm.
he actually threw my old drawings away too, like all my old drawings. I can't believe he did it. I was like, Dad, are you serious? Did you really throw those away? He's like, Yep.
But
So,
that was very disappointing, wasn't it?
oh, totally. I wanted to look at but then I'm drawing stuff that's like quantity over quality, right? Cats, clowns, trees, nonsense, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean that's quite interesting because it reminds me. I was how old was I? I'm probably 6 or 7. And my parents they drove often for weekends to the countryside, an hour 2 hours apart from Cologne, where I used to grow up, and there was a little village called Hütterscheid, and we slept in a pension, in a bed and breakfast somehow, you know. But there was a pub underneath, and it was on a farm, you know. On
Oh, that's cool.
and I was as well. I mean, I was drawing already nature and landscape, and I was sitting in front of this pub and this farm, was drawing the opposite side, you know. So, and then as I finished this drawing, so I went to the owner of the farm or the pub, you know. I think Klaus was his name, and I said, "Hey, it's for you," you know, and
Aw.
and he took it, but he said nothing, you know, and eventually it's the same like you know, it disappeared or it landed in the bin somehow, you know, and
Oh
I
no.
was so I was so devastated, you know.
Oh,
So my whole life was in this ministry. How can they do that, you know? So,
I know. I still ask my dad, I'm like, did you seriously throw away all my early artwork? He's like, well, yeah. You know, it's like he says it like, duh, like why wouldn't I? You know, and I'm just like,
but at least you still speak with him, so that's good.
oh my God, yeah. I'm very close with my parents for sure. You know, my mom, she's not really, she is artistic, but in a much different way. Her and my brother can't really draw. You know what I mean? Like my mother, she's a quilt maker. She is very creative with her thinking, but her and my brother could not draw. My sister, because I have one brother, one sister, she's very artistic. And growing up, I used to compare myself to her all the time. I don't know if you have siblings or not, but I always
No.
felt like she was so much better than me. And I remember one time she and I were sitting there and drawing the same picture of trees.
No
So
way.
we're sitting side by side in our studio
Okay. Yeah.
and we're drawing the same picture. And I looked over at hers and I got deeply upset because I felt like hers was just way better than mine. So I was very emotional when I was little. So I went outside and I cried. And I was like, I'll never be as good as my sister. She's so much better than me, you know.
Yeah.
But I still brought that drawing in. I was in 8th grade. I gave it to my teacher. She put it in the local art show. And then when I went to the art show, I was just kind of like, whatever. And this photographer came up to me. He was like, can I take a picture of you in front of your painting? And I was like, what? Okay, whatever. And then I had gotten best in show. So I was just like, it kind of validated the fact that like I have my own talent, you know, like if this horrible drawing that I feel is horrible gets best in show, you know, there's something there, and I have to stop comparing myself to my sister. And I think that was kind of a turning point for me because it just gave me faith in my own abilities. And from then on there, I've just really been drawing. I've been an artist. I've been painting, writing poetry, writing.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, and my sister, she took a different creative path. She is a graphic designer. Actually, she can
All
kind of do
right.
everything, but yeah,
So
she
so
kind
she
of went.
decides going more the way where you probably you can make an income with your creativity. I
Sure,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
a
I mean, I
steady
would.
income, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but we all know that's very difficult as an artist to make really an income where you can live properly with. I mean, you as well. You have as well more than one job, don't you? I mean, you're
I've
not
got
just.
two jobs. Yep, I've got. Well, okay, that's a weird. I have a lot of jobs. No, okay, because I design labels, I draw pictures for, so it's basically art and fitness. So whether it's like in the vein of something artistic, the only real commission work I do is designing labels for a liquor company.
For what?
Um,
For
uh,
a liquor company.
yeah, so I've worked with them
Oh,
for 10 years. So I do all of their labels.
wow, wow. I mean,
Yeah,
that's good actually. I mean, this is that's great. I didn't know that. So
yeah, and then, you know, I'll be a guest speaker at my university. But everything, I've taught at the Art Students League, but like everything is in the vein of art or
yeah,
fitness.
yeah. What did you say? Fitness.
Yeah, I'm a fitness trainer. I'm a fitness instructor.
So you're still gonna doing that as well.
Yeah, I actually lead, now that I'm back from New York, I'm starting to lead 6 classes a week.
Wow. So
Yeah,
so every day.
helps me stay fit, you know? Well, okay, here's the thing that is it's a beautiful balance because a lot of my job, of course, is sitting at the easel and of course,
I
you
tell you.
know, I wouldn't say that I'm deeply prone to depression, but there have been times, especially in the winter months, where I get a little bit down.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, number one, fitness raises your vibration, raises your serotonin, raises your dopamine, number one
I know.
antidepressant.
Yeah. 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 I know. I
So,
mean, I must say, since I started with the podcast and all this promotion, what it takes with it as well, you know. I'm sitting a lot in front of the computer, you know, and I'm cycling really not so often. I mean, I mentioned before that I normally cycle with my bicycle. It's 10 kilometers to do my shopping. I miss that currently a little bit because my bicycle doesn't work like it should. So I normally I drove once or twice a week with it to the village, you know, which was great, you know, and I feel it. So I have to do more exercises.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
yeah, oh yeah,
That's
absolutely. Keep the body limber, you know, keep the minds in shape. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know which is, I mean, both are important. Both are important. But when your mind is healthy from like working out and keeping your serotonin levels up, your body tends to follow, right? So,
absolutely. I mean, especially in times like now, so where things change so much somehow that you're really. I mean, that was the reason why I started with my podcast because to keep the network going, you know, with artists and you know,
oh, absolutely.
because of this lockdown over here and everything, you know. So that at least that works very well, and I'm quite happy about that, you know. So that we are able to. I mean, it is somehow amazing to keep the network via a distance like this, you know. I mean, that
Oh,
makes
yeah, this is
for art.
awesome. Yeah.
It's,
I think if anything, you know, the pandemic has forced us to re-examine not only our lives, but also our careers. And I think that's why, interestingly enough, in the United States right now, there is a huge or not a job shortage, there's a huge employee shortage. Like no one wants to work. And it's not just because they're getting funding from the government, because not everyone is. It's a shift in perspective. It's that people don't they're refusing to work minimum wage jobs living in poverty. Like the bar that the United States sets for people, for employees, like the amount that they pay them isn't even enough to get by. It's the divide between the lower class and the upper class, it's become so apparent. And people are
But
upset. They're angry. No one wants to go to work. Like
not just in America,
everyone's hiring. If you want a job, you could work anywhere right now. Anywhere.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Wow. It's crazy.
Man. Yeah. So that was that back to your growing up. So you had I was wondering if you grow up somehow so in such picturesque way, and you still love it to be in New York. I mean, I think I could imagine myself maybe for a week or so, but even Cologne. I mean, in Cologne we have 1 million population. I mean, okay, so I was growing up there. I was 40 years in Cologne and
oh, wow.
knew as well every place and it was getting bored somehow for me, but I still like it, But I must say, if I picture myself just mentally over there, I'm scanning a week in this, and then I said, I think after this week I'm happy to be back again as well, so remote where I'm living now, because I somehow I can't deal with this oversaturation of influences of senses anymore, and I mean what I realized is, I mean, I became my tinnitus in my 30s from music making, from rock and roll, from having the life on the highway, that I was, or I would say I am somehow probably on the spectrum where I'm getting very quickly oversaturated with information,
Oh yeah.
So I wonder how.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I fluctuate between the two. I have I love the city. It's interesting. When I was 7, that was the first time I went to New York. And coming from a farm, I saw the city. I was like, this is my place. This is where I belong. So I always knew that I was going to be living in New York one day. But now, as I do get a little bit older, I find even when I was living in Brooklyn, I spent most of my time at home. I paint at home. I would go to the gym and do my fitness classes. I need a lot of, people think I'm very outgoing, which I am, but I have to prepare myself. You know what I mean?
Typically introverted, extroverted, no?
Yeah, it's almost equal, if not more introverted, because I need the recharge time so much. I require so much alone time. And then, so when I go out, I've prepared myself, I feel mentally, and it's interesting because I'm a fitness instructor, right? So I'm in front of all these classes. I actually lead people. I'm like,
that's different.
At the same time,
because
it's like,
what I realized is, I mean, I'm not going out often, and to be honest, I'm not interested anymore as well to see a lot of live music but as long as if it comes to activities where I'm involved by myself, that means the performance or so, that's different, So I realized that it needs somehow me as a person to be involved in some action to get me out of the house.
I know. Well, that's why in the end, what I've decided, and this could change tomorrow, because as you know, I'm always dipping and doing somewhere new, but I've decided, I think upstate New York, like an hour, 2 hours north of the city, would be the best, because then I still have access to New York City, but I can breathe and be in the trees and have tons of alone time. No fear of missing out, no pressure, not really into, I do like to have a drink, but I don't really party, so I don't really I don't really have to go to the parties, but I still will be able to go to the dinner and go to the galleries and like,
Mm,
when I
mm,
want that time, when I want that city fuel, then I can go
mm,
back to the city. Like Cologne, you go 5 days, you're like, I got to get the hell out of here, you know?
mm,
Like
mm.
that's kind of how I feel now. It feels so good just to be back. And even though I don't necessarily want to be here in Kalamazoo long term, it feels so nice. I can breathe. I mean, this apartment I'm in is huge. This apartment
Mm.
in New York would be $5,000 a month,
Oh
you
God!
know? I know.
What
The
you
apartment right
what?
here, this is $750 a month. Two bedroom, two bathroom. So
Okay.
it's like I can breathe, I have all
Yeah.
this room and it's mine. I don't have to share it with like nine different roommates, which I did in New York. Yeah, I had nine roommates.
Oh God. I mean, that's mad. I couldn't live
You're
like
like,
this anymore. Oh God, no. I can't. I mean, I had an odyssey as well. 2017 after my studying. I mean, I started out quite late, 2016, and finished here on Sherkin Island. I mean, I studied it on it was a full-time course, and we drove every second week to this island by ferry boat, and got teach there for 3 days, educated, and then we went back home and were quite responsible on our own to create artwork. It was very interesting course. But
that sounds amazing.
yeah, no, it was great. It's from the Dublin's Institute of Technology.
Oh,
So we had a
cool.
lot of Skype courses and so on, and
Yeah.
for me it was great because I mean I do art all of my life, I mean, so I had bands in earlier years, DJ, writing for German television, did illustrations for magazines as well, and but for me it's more the life of an artist is more the creativity is the vision, and not the thing to make money with it. I mean, I have a lot of different souls in my body, So that's and to make money with it, it's not my first my first intuition, inspiration, So
Believe you me, if that was my first inspiration as well, I'd be rolling in cash because I would just be painting flowers all day long, you know? Of which people have told me, why don't you just paint flowers? I'm like, because it's boring,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
I like flowers though. They show up in my paintings a lot,
I mean,
but
but you are very ambitious and you are very disciplined. I mean, that's probably the daughter of a teacher, So that's
oh, that's huge. That's huge. Like I've worked for
yeah,
myself for 10 years,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
gotta have a lot of discipline for that.
Quite cool. That's ours. We have probably already the first episode started and already almost finished. Almost. Dear listeners, that's just the first episode, so we're gonna continue that on next Sunday. So we have an early confession at 10 o'clock next Sunday morning before the real mess started.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Thanks a million, Julia. That was quite interesting, and I think we still have to continue next week about that as well before we're gonna come to other things and journeys. I just have to mention, so if you guys want to know more about Julia, you can look into my description. I will put the links all in my description as well, and you can go to her YouTube pages, probably to her Instagram account as well, and so if you want to know more, so you can leave her there. I don't know, so if she can answer messages, but because I think she's busy as well. Yeah, so you get to know more about her via this social media things for sure. The other thing is my merchandising hell. If you want to get stuff from the podcast, or if you want to support the podcast, because it's a listener supported podcast, share it, and or you can go to ArTEEtude.com, and you can buy all my artwork as a kind of a merchandising. It's cheaper actually to buy a painting, So I mean, so ArTEEtude.com is my page. Maybe Julia has to say something as well. Do you want to add something at the end of the first episode?
Sure. Thank you so much for listening. I think we have a lot more to cover in the next few episodes, so I hope that you stay tuned. And I think the best place to check my work out would just be my Instagram, Julia_Haw. And my website is www.juliahaw.com. So reach
Thank
out.
you very much.
I do answer messages, so please reach out if you have any questions.
Great to know. Okay, Julia, see you soon.
Sounds good.
Take care. Thank you very much. And goodbye, dear listeners. See you next Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. Ciao.
You have listened to ArTEEtude, West Cork's first art, fashion and design podcast. ArTEEtude, never so close again. That was too close.